Hi guys, welcome back again. So obviously I did the previous video, one before was the first part of the Monday Club that I did. So Monday Club, if you haven't watched the first part, I'll link it. It's a podcast that I do with Sam, Kimmy and Mark. Every Monday it's released on YouTube and also on podcast stations. So this part is about me. I'm about to take the jump to be VAT registered. It wasn't really in my eyes to grow the business, it's just the amount I'm earning now. I'm so close to it, it's just better getting it done, but potentially about pushing customers away and all what's entailed with that. And then on top of it as well, it's making decisions. What I've always had this mental block of trying to make the next step of what is the logical thing to do, or thinking worst case. But I've even listened back to it in my own voice, as daft as that sounds. It's so interesting to see the mind working of the fears that I have and how it's never played out. But yeah, anyway, it's a good episode. I'll put the proper episode for Monday Club, it's about an hour long, in the link below. Go and give them a follow and subscribe. We've got some crackers coming out recently. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and let us know in the comments below if you've ever had anything like this.
And eventually, it all comes together in the end. But it is a process you've got to go through. There's no magic switch you can press to just get there.
This is it. The next thing with, I need to get that registered, and it's going to have to happen this year. I've managed to get around it to the point with YouTube. Obviously, when I started YouTube and started getting paid with YouTube, it really bumped me up a very, very close to the VAT threshold. So I set a limited company up. So it's a different entity to myself, which is great because as me as a sole trader, so now I've employed Adam. Obviously, you get your tax benefits and everything, but overall, as a threshold of what you earn gross, it doesn't matter that half of it or a quarter of it's going to Adam. You still earn over or earning up to 84 grand or whatever. So the next thing for me this year is going to go VAT, which scares the hell out of me because I know all my work is domestic. I know I will push a certain amount of people away, but hopefully good enough at my job, and I know that I can keep the people that are willing to pay that bit extra. Whether or not for a year I drop my prices down a little bit, obviously when the VAT is added on, it's going to sort of equal itself out.
Don't do that.
Oh, okay.
Definitely don't do that. It's not. People think it's a big difference because you just think of that 20%, don't you? But you're also reclaiming the costs of your material purchases, the running of your vehicle. The actual difference isn't that great once you actually drill down into it. I've been VAT registered for coming up 10 years now, I think. And the actual price difference of me to other local electricians who aren't VAT registered isn't as big as you imagine. But don't go dropping your hourly rate. You need to make your money on your job. So that's got to be what it's got to be. And if you're busy already, then that's a good place to start from when you do VAT register. Because if you do cut a bit away from what your client base is, it's not the end of the world.
Sure.
So don't instantly just do that.
I mean, it's one of them. Do you want to work for the people that won't pay that little bit more for yourself? Because my dad was always VAT registered, being a painter. I don't quite know how, but he used to earn a lot of money painting. And it's always the unknown. So my next step was taking on an apprentice, and it was like, it's just the unknown. It's always scared me. And am I going to afford my overheads? I'm going to do this. And I always go to worst case scenario in my head every single time with any decision. Looking at renting this truck, I looked everywhere, spoke to 6 different companies now, and they're all giving me a ballpark figure, and it is expensive, and I don't need it, but I want it, and I'm going to put it towards the business. Like, it's going to help me out with, because Soph's going to be on it as well. It's going to be a commercial vehicle because she can easily bring stuff to me on site because it's going to be a truck bed once the kids are at school. It's going to go against my tax. Obviously, if I'm VAT registered, it'll also go against that, and obviously the fuel. But then at the same time, I think, let's say work dries up. I've already got Adam, who costs me £1,200 a month, and I'm going to give him a pay rise because he deserves it soon. I've got my overheads, I've got my mortgage, I've got the unit now, which is £600 a month. And I just think, what if work just dries up? And I've always said, what if it dries up? I've just shot myself in the foot. But I've never not had any work. But I always go to worst case scenario, what if this happens? And I talk myself out of stuff.
But I think that's a smart way to think. Like, I'm the opposite. I'll spend, if I have 500 quid coming, I'll spend that 4 times. And I'll be like, babe, where's all the money gone? I'm like, you spent it, idiot. So no, it's a really good way to be, certainly in business, is to be prudent, is to like look at the worst case scenario. Because what if it does happen? What if you, I don't know, walk out your house and get hit in the head with a meteorite?
Oh, I know.
You're off for
I know.
3 weeks.
And this is exactly where sort of I took life a bit differently when my dad died. he we never had a big house. We never had a really nice car. It wasn't like we had nice stuff, but it was never. My dad could have afforded a bloody Jag, or we could have had a 5-bedroom house in the middle of nowhere. But he took us around the world. That was his thing. He said, travel the world, see everything. You only live once. And he died before he retired. And obviously, a lot of his friends used to wait until you retired to then travel the world. And he said, for all I know, I could go to it one day, fall off a ladder and die, and I'll never get to do the things that I wanted to do. And as soon as he said that, I was like, yeah, no, I tell you what, I won't go stupid, but if I want something, or the kids want something, I'm going to buy them. For all I know, I'm going to work tomorrow. I'm going to pass out and headbutt a fuse board that's open, and I'm going to die. I genuinely don't know. So it was the unit. I and ah'd the unit, but with the unit, it took me nearly 6 months to convince myself it was a good idea.
I think it's a brilliant idea. Certainly when I come up there and take it over. So
even if it boosts your work morale up, it's worth it.
And everything's been a bonus since. I mean, with the unit, which has helped me create more videos, which has then got more sponsorship, more YouTube ad revenue, which has then built the other side of the business up, which has then allowed me to take a bit more time off. And this is all roped into, as soon as I took Adam on, I spent the time with him. He's then increased my workload and equally money, which has then allowed me to employ my other half, which I've always wanted to do. It was the whole key reason why I set YouTube up, to earn £500 extra a month, so I could go, can you do a bit of admin for me? And I'll take you on, because I hate the job you're in and you deserve more. Aww. And it's now led into, she works for me full time. I've got a full-time apprentice. I've got a cool van. I've got a unit. And I always look back at the stuff I've doubted I shouldn't do. And when I've done it, all I've done is grown from it. So but within reason, I need to be sensible.
I love this. I love your story.
That is a great story.
Can I just say something?
I love it.
When you the catastrophic thinking, it's really easy to do, isn't it? We all do it, even with the day-to-day stuff. If you get a tricky job, you're like, Christ, if this goes wrong, it'll be an absolute disaster. How am I going to do this? But then you actually turn up and do it, and it all largely usually goes as it should.
Yeah.
So kind of pushing away from that. And what if, Nick, what you're doing now turns you into one of the biggest electrical contractors in the Midlands and the biggest YouTube superstar out of all the electrical content providers? What if it goes that way? You've got to have that healthy medium, the balance in it all.
Yeah, I think the thing with I always never wanted was to employ people, because this is the thing, worst case, I'd never wanted the stress and the hassle of having to find work to pay these people. Because let's say I employed 2 guys who I would treat the same as I treat Adam. I would respect them, they respect me, I'd look after them, I'd get them really nice stuff. And I expect them to do the good work in kind, as in that's your job. I treat you well, you treat me well with the work. But this is the way I would be. Let's say work dried out again. I would make sure their mortgage was paid before mine, because they deserve it for trusting me with a job. And it would then shoot myself in the foot again. And this is it. And I never wanted to employ people because of the hassle. But as soon as I get VAT registered, I think that is logically the next step for me to start venturing out into stuff. Because my friend, Ben, he went to college with me. We passed together. There was only 3 of us over our entire college course that actually did anything with our qualification. He was self-employed to start with, and I was self-employed. We used to cross over on loads of jobs. We absolutely destroyed work. But he never did his paperwork, and eventually he got him employed because he just couldn't. He would happily go to work and not get paid because he could never be bothered to do his certificates or his invoices or his quotes. And he's already said to me at some point, if you've got a job going, I want one. And he said, I said, what you want at the moment? He said, 37 grand. And I looked at that, I was like, I need to make an extra 37 grand a year to employ someone.
I bet you do that easy. I bet you do that easy with another competent spark. Yeah, I think
that's like right now. Imagine all the EICRs you're doing. That is just extra. So the money you're making from that is extra to what you would regularly have. So if you was to give that to him, obviously you're not directly, but as an employee, and then just keep on getting extra jobs, you can easily do that. You can easily do that.
And it's just the fear of the unknown. And that is all it boils down to.
To say about this. 1, this ain't the Nick therapy hour. And 2,
sorry,
Jimmy, why are you wearing footballs on your ears?